Today is the day podcast. What is happening with me, Danny Malloy, and Jack Gray? Jack, how are we, sir?
All good in the Who. The same intro as always. Oh,
The exact same intro. Obviously, what I'm feeling right now is a state of relief for anyone listening. The reason I'm feeling a state of relief because when I say me and Jack have sat here for 2 hours trying to get this call to work, we've had issues upon issues trying to get this podcast recorded for the last 2 hours. So I'm definitely feeling a state of relief. I'm sure you are as well, Jack.
I am indeed. It actually came up there now that our connection was bad there again. So hopefully we're touching wood and we're making it work. Right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%, lad. But yeah, what's the crack with you, Jack? How are we, sir?
I'm all good. I would like to recall this is episode 17. I'm near sure, so we are nearly in the 1%.
100%. What is the 1%? 20, episode 21, wouldn't it be?
21, my favorite number. We are near at it. We are near at the 1% podcast in the world, and soon as Danny was telling me before the podcast, we will be doing in-person podcasts for a good long duration. And you know what it will also mean? It'll also mean that we can bring people on in person, which would be easier, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like um, anyone comment below if what you kind of think. Obviously, personally, I feel like when you do an in-person podcast, that the conversation flows a lot more freely and a lot more like a conversation. Whereas, like when we do, obviously I'm in Liverpool and Jack is in Belfast. It doesn't flow as smoothly maybe as conversation and like I just with the kind of the dynamic of the conversation itself.
Yeah, it's better to watch, I feel like. But in fairness, if, uh, as is the good old saying goes by Alex Moses, use what you've got, like, and we've got computers and we've got, mics, so, you know what I mean?
100%. But here, Jack, what the issues we were kind of facing just to get this podcast started kind of acts as a perfect segue to what we were talking about earlier as well before the call, talking about the importance of focusing on the problem in front of you. If I don't know if you recall me saying that.
Yes. So we or elaborate on that sense. So for me, for example, in business terms, there's like problems with my business, like for example, things I've never done before, like sales, for example, we're going to sales. I've never done sales before in my life, to be honest. Like next to none experience. I've had a few sales calls, but I know the whole point of the call is to sell, but you know I just feel bad for asking someone for money, and it's just something I'm not used to. You know, even ask my mummy and daddy for money these days. Like the old time, you're like, mate, I actually feel really bad just doing that. But maybe it's a belief or a thing I need to overcome, and I'd say it is, obviously. Because at the end of the day, you're providing a service. Well, my service, for example, is personal training online. It's like literally they're spending their money instead of on a Chinese and a chippy on the weekend and a fucking bark and a swab. They're investing their money to become a better person and live a healthier life. And as Danny was saying actually before the podcast, they are literally like, well, there's like evidence to back it up that people who are in good shape, make more money, have a better relationship with people, and have a better relationship with food and all that kind of stuff. So in a sense, my job generally does change people's life, but I just have a belief where that I feel like I will overcome, but it will be hard to overcome. Of asking people for money, it's just not something I'm used to doing. Danny, on the other hand, actually, obviously, like every business, everyone has problems. He probably has a different problem than what I would have, but we all have problems. So I feel like me and Danny's on a same like trajectory, and we're like on different paths, but the same path. If that makes sense. Like we're starting with things, but they in line similarly. If that makes sense. So like different for variations of what businesses we're doing, but I feel like that's cool. But on that regards, my problem would probably one of the things I would be not the great at is sales, but something Danny actually has experience in. Maybe not the most experience in the world, but I mean he has at least what I think 4 or 5 months, 6 months maybe
Yeah,
experience.
couple of months. Yeah,
How did you
yeah.
find that process? That's what I would like to know. How did you find it? Your first ever sales call. What was your thoughts to your 100 sales call? What was the difference between call one and call 100?
Yeah, 100%. Basically, just saying what you were saying there. I think the most awkward part and the most hardest part to wrap your head around in that process would be just asking for the sale or asking for the money. No, I mean it's just like it's not a dynamic that we're used to in everyday society. No, I mean, we're so used to like kind of being the consumers opposed to the producers. And when you flip around, it's just something you're not used to, and it's like it's just a really unfamiliar feeling, and you feel like what's the word, you're like you're nagging someone to like part way with the money obviously, in order for a product or service. Obviously you are providing value within that product or service, so it's just a weird dynamic. I think like what I was kind of, the point I was kind of bring up was when you were talking about like me like focusing on like, say like my side hustle, or like my kind of business, whatever you'd prefer to call it. I think what I was trying to highlight was so much times, and I'm 100% guilty of it. Like there's a problem. So say there's a problem. I'll give an example like this. You don't have enough money. You want to hit, say, I don't know, maybe it's 10K a month. That's like kind of your main objective, your main goal. But you think too far ahead. You have like a vehicle in order to bring you to that, whether it's drop shipping, whether it's trading, whether it's personal training, whatever it may be. But you're always like, you're focusing further down the line. You're like, oh, when I get to 10K a month, I'm going to do this and move it over to this business. But you're like, you never focus on the problem that's directly in front of you and like devise a solution for that, which kind of dilutes your concentration in a sense. And you're like, oh, I don't need to worry that. You kind of like act like you've already achieved that objective of goal, thinking about what you're going to do next. And I think the most beneficial thing to do is to focus on what's in front of you there and then. And like, it's kind of act as a hindrance to me, because I feel like, oh, I need to do this, need to do this, need to do this. Whereas like with drop shipping, like me and Cameron were kind of talking about the other day, like there's three things we need to do, like three problems we need to solve is find a good product, generate traffic to the website, then ultimately turn that traffic to the website into consumers and buy the product. So there's three main problems we need to solve. But like sometimes you get caught up in the whole like in the whole aspect of other things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, my problem with what you just said would be, I was talking to my towards FG saying about this the other day, and you were saying there were the three problems, right? So now you know the problems. What are the things that you can do to solve the problem? Because everyone finds out what the problem is, but what are the things that are actually, what's the inputs that you can do to solve the problem? Like say, well, you said there, find a product, a good winning product. So what do you need to do in order to find a good winning product? So for example, I need to spend 30 minutes a day researching different topics, something like that. What's the inputs instead of this is the problem? What's the things you're going to, solve a problem? And then a quote I was saying before, Danny, before the podcast, the quality of your life is determined by the questions you ask yourself. So, essentially what that says is like, if you're not asking yourself, right, what is it I need to improve, right? How am I going to improve it? What's the inputs I need to do to get that desired outcome kind of thing? If you're not asking yourself them questions, instead of saying, oh, I need to do this, but not figuring out the bit on how you're going to do that, if that makes sense. That is where that I'd say that quote comes from. So it does, and it's I had a full I think it was 30 minutes or 20 minutes the video I read on it in the mentorship, and it took me about an hour and a half to go through it. I'm actually in. I actually look here. I from that one thing of going through it, action steps, how I can do it and stuff, all the rest of it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 topics here that I needed to improve on with action steps upon them, and I've just ticked them off. I put them into my calendar. Right, this is what I'm going to do. For example, for me, I want my clients to be more engaged, more relaxed, and more focused. And a way of me doing that would be accountability. And normally I would just say, right, accountability. That's how you do. But then within that video, was talking about, right, yes, you want the accountability. But what is it that you can get your clients to be more accountable? What can you do? Can you be taxing them more? Can you do more outreach? Can you, for example, I would write, can you send them a quote on a Sunday, every Sunday, to show that you're supporting them or to motivate them? Can you, I don't know, can you do touch points? So touch points sounds day where you text them during the week, or do if of course how's things getting on? Can you do daily habit trackers on them on the apps that I have? There's a few things that I wasn't currently doing. Or can I add in calls? Like I've just told Danny about before the podcast, and I do a call on Monday, and every 2 weeks a live a fant thing. kind of add in drop-in sessions. So basically, it's what's the things that can get more accountable instead of, oh, I need to get more accountable. What's the things I can actually do to be more accountable, if that makes sense. But I thought that was a good story. As well, see if we're talking about social media wise, I was saying, how can I improve social media? What can I do? What's the inputs I can do to, how can I improve my content? I need to improve my content. What's the things I can do? So, for example, I wrote here, change angles or something every 3 to 4 seconds. That's something I could do to make it more engaging. Record content in a place that relates to the things you're talking about. Background, it's just we things like that there instead of saying I need to improve my content. It's more, what is the inputs that's going to improve that content, if that makes sense. But a bit of a ramble there, but I thought it was pretty decent insight,
Yeah, 100%. And I think we're guilty in a lot of aspects of our lives of kind of getting carried away with all the problems, when if you just focused on one thing for like a certain period of time, you could kind of solve that problem. Do you know what I mean? Whether it may be like kind of generating sales for like an online business, or maybe it's as simple as like trying to improve like your 5K time. Do you know what I mean? Like there's all like I was actually reading into this as well. It's actually like, I mean, you're talking about it off the call. It's a book, the 12-week year, and he kind of talks about this. One of the quotes that stood out to me massively was, "We don't have what was it? We don't have a solution problem. We have an execution problem." Basically saying like we all know exactly what it is we need to do in order to achieve the objective or the goal, but we all fail to execute it. I think the example that he used within the book was talking about like, and this may be a slight attack to you, Jack. Kind of, it's not actually an attack, but you understand what I mean when I say it. So he was saying about 60 or 70% of people in the US are overweight.
Oh, I see that.
Off the back of that, they've built like the fitness industry in the US is worth billions, but ultimately everyone knows what they need to do in order to lose weight, which is ultimately eat less and move more. Therein lies the fact that they all know exactly what they need to do in order to achieve the objective that they want. But the only problem is that they don't execute on it. So Jack, the question I kind of want to ask and like kind of discuss is why do we, like, when we know the solution to a certain problem, do we not execute?
This ties into New Year's resolutions as well. I haven't even read the book yet. I just watched the guy talk about the book last night, and it's weird. It's weird, you're talking to the right people or mates with the right person. When me and Danny talk about something, it's something that he's consumed already, or it's something that we're watching the same kind of stuff. That's how you're around people that you actually want to be around. I feel like, but going off that, it was saying actually about it. So basically, the 12-week, from what I've assumed anyway, it's basically changing the frame of mind in the sense of, we say 1 year, in this time next year I want to have this body, or I want to be making this amount of money and all the rest of it. And we always do things in the long term, but then we get demotivated and fall off because it's so long away. Because we don't have that fit. It's hard to keep that vision and that momentum going for such a long period of time. And we don't break it down into smaller blocks or 12-week blocks, for example. And essentially, with that book, instead of saying, if I have 10K, then I'm off, right, 3 months' time, what can I have by then? What's the inputs you need to be doing to get that? And it's working solely on the outputs rather than the outcome. And it's a 12-week block, basically, where essentially, it's like getting the shape. For example, 12 weeks, boom, what's the things you need to be doing, right? First of all, I need to be calorie counting, right? I need to be, going to the gym, stuff like that. Business terms, money wise, how much money do we need to all that. But essentially every week you do in the 12-week thing I was saying about, say for example it is, right, I want to be working this amount, X amount of hours, and then you do how much you actually done on your calendar. At the end on Sunday you reflect on it, and say you only done 65% of what you said you want to do. The goal is to get 85%, I think it was, you saying. And then you keep reflecting. But essentially up here, we go for 3 months, then you look back and see if you achieved them things you wanted to do, or the outputs that you wanted to do within 3 months, and then you have a wee break, and then you go again. I think this frame of mind makes you commit to it and stick to it more, because it's more of a, this is what I'm doing, and it's only 3 months instead of this one I'm doing a year. I've got the whole year to do it. Instead, you've got right. My deadline is 3 months on this certain day and this certain time. Instead of framing it so long and then just getting lack of motivation and lack of like wanting to actually do it because it's so long away. Like, oh, I can always do it next month, kind of thing. Yeah, better of a rant there. Like, but that's my take on it. What's your take on that? Do you feel like do you think that's a good way of looking at things, breaking it down into like a 3 month block? Because there's some people, maybe they just want to have, maybe they want longer to be able to do that. But do you think it's a good idea to be able to break them down like that?
Yeah, so I was actually talking to my mummy about this book. She's read this book, and I was kind of talking, and she was kind of saying that like the concept in the book is a very good book theoretically, but in certain aspects, it's not. Like, so basically, what this book, sorry, is kind of saying is like if you put 12 weeks in, going absolutely 90, that you will achieve the desired outcome or the desired outcome. Yes, theoretically, that works very well. I know I'm playing devil's advocate, but sometimes when you put it into practice, like say, like realistically, Jack, do you think within 12 weeks you could achieve your dream body as a PT? Your dream body, that is.
Um, it just, I think it's only the best example to go off that with me personally. But at 12 weeks, I think I get in a really good gym. 12 weeks, I don't really think I have a really desired outcome when it comes up. But say if you're somebody, you turn around and said to me, "Do you think you make 10K off in 3 months?" I would say it's possible. I say it's like more than possible. But when I say, at this current moment in time, do I believe that will happen? Probably not. I wouldn't. I wouldn't probably believe it because there's so many outputs I need to be able to do. But I think there's a point you're going to bring up right now that I didn't bring up, and I want to see if you elaborate on it. Basically, what it was is like it's something I struggle with a lot. Maybe it's because ADHD. I don't like to think like that. To be fair, but I find it hard to focus on the one topic for 3 months or like the one thing. Is that a thing that you feel like that is what it's correlated into then 3 months? Is that 3 months meant to be focused on one particular thing and then everything wants to change it up? Or what way does that work?
I think that's kind of relates to what I was saying at the start of the podcast, talking about like how we always dilute our concentration thinking about other things. But if you set a goal within inside of a goal, if you know what I mean. So say like you had a yearly goal, right? And you broke it down into four different goals. So like by the first 3 months, say I'll just use numbers to make it kind of simple. So say like ultimately by the end of the year you want to hit 10K a month and like kind of income. So say the first 3 months you're solely working towards getting to like I don't know maybe like 2K a month or 3K a month. Then for the second 3 months you're getting to like I don't know 5K a month or 6K a month. Then the third set would be like maybe 7 or 8K a month. Then the fourth and last quarter of the fourth and last 12-week period of the year would kind of be like moving from that 8K to 10K a month, if you know what I mean. So like it's like a goal inside of a goal, but you talking about the concentration, like I think I think the whole concentration thing is like what something we talk about massively on this podcast, and it would be discipline in a sense. Like the reason like we kind of lose sight of our goals is the discipline aspect of it. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to make yourself. So if you catch yourself veering away from that goal, in a sense, not putting your daily inputs in, your weekly inputs in to achieve that goal, you need to like kind of give yourself a reality check and be like, right, realistically, if I don't put these inputs in for this day or this week, I'm not going to achieve this 12-week 3 month goal that I have. But kind of going revisiting my point, talking about like the theoretical aspect and the actual applicable aspect of the theory of the concept of the book. Sorry, I'm talking about that you can achieve kind of anything in 12 weeks. I think one thing that it completely ignores is something that like a lot of people kind of state to say would be like, I know you're probably familiar with it, Jack. The 10,000 hour rule did I kind of become a master in a craft. You know what I mean? I feel
Yeah,
like it kind of ignores that concept, which is obviously 10,000 hours is kind of just a number. Obviously, some things may not take 10,000 hours to become very, like the best at, but I do think it kind of ignores that in a sense.
yeah. I would agree, but I like the concept of it in the sense that, like, it gives you a closer deadline to stuff. Like, as in, like, see the long frame, like 1 year, it's hard to like falling over the process because you're like falling over and then you're out and then you're in and then out. But if you go to a shorter distance, like 3 months, you're more like, oh, it's only 3 months, so I can actually get locked in. It's not that far away, if that makes sense. But I would agree with you about the 10,000 hour thing in the sense that it does kind of drift away from that because you can't really get 10,000 hours in 3 months. But I feel like that's the concept of it, like 3 months, and then you take like a week off, and then 3 months to go again. I feel like that's maybe what it's trying to say, maybe or something. But I feel it's really good, it's a really good concept though, having them deadlines in 3 months instead of a year. Like, if you get me, I've
Yeah,
never actually. I would love to give it a proper go because I've never actually, give it a proper go. 3 months, boom, this is what I'm doing, kind of thing. So I can't really, say, oh, right, this is actually class. I think I would love to give it a go. Though. I would be a sick concept behind it.
yeah, I would. I think I would love to give it a go as well. To be fair, I think. Do you think as well it might leave you kind of vulnerable to say burnout or like fatigue mentally or physically?
I
Depend on your goal.
I think it would actually do the opposite, and that's mad to think. And you probably disagree with me there before. I think it would do the opposite because I know of a deadline and it's in sight. I personally, like, I say, for example, a marathon or a football match or if I know in 3 months' time I'm fighting a fight, I'm going to be locked clean in because I want to get the most out of that fight. I want to win that fight, obviously. Same way, for example, if I'm marathon, I want to set a decent pace. Like, because I know in 3 months' time, I'll be more locked in, more tuned in, and more saying no to other stuff because I value that 3 months getting to that outcome at the end. So I feel it would get me more locked in, and I feel I'd be more productive, and I actually think I'd have more energy because I'm so focused and actually enjoying. Like, all right, I've got it's no mind that way, but
Mm.
when it's like long distance for like a year, for example, I fatigue, and then also see as well, it gives you a deadline on what exactly it is. Sometimes I get in the state where like, right, I'm 1 month in, I'm like, right, what does I have to be doing now? What is I meant to be focusing on? But if you have a 3 month and this is what you're focusing on just for 3 months, then you already know what you're focusing on. If that makes sense. But
Mm.
with the year goal and stuff, you're like, I know what it is the goal I want to get, but what's the inputs? And you're like, what does I need to be doing here? Like, I've done all the inputs I thought I've done, and I'm like, what did I, where did I go from here, kind of thing. But with 3 months, it gives you a direction in the sense like, right, I just want to do it for 3 months. If that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, no,
for me as a human, I love seeing progress. I've talked about it loads of times. I love seeing progress, and if I can see progress when motivation's low, the distance really high for me. But when I'm not seeing me move forward, I get really unmotivated, but less disciplined because I'm not seeing any results, and it's the unseen results that people don't like. People, social media. We were talking about, people be like, "Oh, he's always been, them father. He's always had that," but no one sees the unwritten, the fucking warriors in this trenches making, doing them repetitions, you know, kind of thing. Without seeing any rewards, if you know what I mean. So I find that hard, not seeing any rewards when I'm doing work, but I knowing if the work's actually meant to be the right work I'm doing because I'm not seeing any inputs, if that makes sense. So I feel like with that 3 month block, it gives you a sense of like progress because you're going up percentages each week, and then that kind of thing. So I feel like that because I'm actually seeing progress, I would have more energy or more discipline and more that way.
yeah. See, if you said you would love to try it. If you were to apply it kind of to your life, what would be the types of goals that you would maybe? Because obviously you want to be focusing on one goal. What would be the types of goals that you would want to like kind of have for them 12 weeks? Like the whole outcome. Like, you know what I mean. You know what I'm trying to get across. And struggling to put it into words here.
I know exactly what you mean, but see with me, and that's the hardest bit for me. For someone, I don't want to say, in my opinion, I don't like to believe that you can't do something because you have this and that. Like, for example, I have ADHD, and I'd be like, oh, I can concentrate because of that, right? But I don't believe that to be true. But I just feel like me as a person, I find it hard to concentrate on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'll be doing one thing, and then next thing you know, right, if I have something in my brain and someone's talking to me, I start talking about the thing I have in my brain. It's not because I don't not listen to what they're saying. It's because I find that in my brain more important than what they're saying. If that makes sense. And same with like, you know, I don't know if I'm doing something, I'm like, I need to do that kind of thing. So I find a lot of concentrate in one thing. But if I had to pick, with me personally, that's the hard thing because I don't know. As everyone who knows me now, I'm in a situation where I'm playing football, doing boxing, or want to do a marathon. Like I don't know what the direction is, what I want to focus on, and that is the problem with me, and that's why I'm not seeing any progress because I'm not focusing on one thing because I'm doing it all at once.
Yeah.
That is why discipline isn't high at the minute for me, or isn't as high as it could be. It's because I don't have a clear thing on what it is when it comes to training. Whereas I'm training, but not. There's no like drive, if that makes sense. But when it comes to that, I probably more focus on the refining side and becoming a better PT and all the rest of it. I think I would probably focus on first and foremost would probably be becoming a better personal trainer. That's probably the first thing I would do, and that is where we have to ask the questions. You know, what we were talking about 2 minutes ago. How am I going to become a PT? What do I need to do? Do I need to hire a PT? Do I need to get more experience, get more clients, so I can get more experience? Is it you know, do I need to learn how to communicate better? Do I need to that just them questions alone? Asking them kind of questions. So yeah, that would probably be the main thing I focus on. But I'm in a period now where actually I don't like studying at all. Once I start ground, I hate studying, but once I start 100%, I actually like to be able to hold a conversation with someone and actually know what I'm talking about. So that is something I would love to embark on. Right now, I only do an hour a day. Like if I'm thinking about it, once I do that hour, like I'm going through all the stuff I already know. But see now I'm going for stuff right. I already know, but I'm redoing it just to make sure I know it. Because I'm not really a big study or whatever you call it, but just making sure I know that stuff. And then it's fine. The hardest bit is knowing if it's the right thing to be studying. Like I was studying there the other day about dietitians and like what they do and nutritionists and I can start with that. You need to know that. But this one of them things like you don't know. You're never gonna know. Like I think it's hard one. Like I got a thing. But yeah, I think that's the hardest question. What is you're going to be focused on for the 12 months or 12 weeks? Sorry, like what is it? See if you get what that is. Boom, you're flying.
Yeah. Jack, see to get like a bit of context. Like this is just me being personally curious. See when it is you say you study, like what is like the types of things you study as a PT? Like what is it you're referring to?
So, for example, I was learning about like thermic effect of food and like TEF. So, learn about
What's TF? Sorry.
TEF, thermic effect of food.
Oh, thermic effect of foods. Yeah.
Whereas the amount of energy expended by the body through indigestion, digestion, absorption, and utilization. TF accounts for 6 to 10% of daily energy expended for men and 6 to 7% for women. Boom! Jeez! Man, I've been learning BMR and that kind of stuff. But I don't know if I need to know that. Like, am I going to turn around and say to my client, that? So
yeah.
you know exactly what it is. So that's why I feel like maybe that's where I need to go down. Maybe that's maybe I need to hire a PT and be like, right, what does that need to be focused? Sonia already has skin in the game. And people turn around to me and be like, oh, but Jack, you're a PT, so you should know that. You should know this kind of thing, right? Or like you should already know blah blah. But if you look at like anyone in the world, anyone at all, any business mentor or it could be the highest person you know, it could be Alex Ramosa, fuck's sake, there's always someone ahead of him or someone he can learn from. And what I find most interesting about the course I'm in the minute, there's 120 people in it, or 26 people, and all of them, there's like 60% of them, 70% of them, all of them coach. I always ask the question, why is it sure a coach? Because you can always learn that 1% off each coach, boom, 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 and then all them different things you learn off each coach. One could be communication. One could be, oh, that's how you build muscle. But there's extra stuff like you didn't know about. And then all them 1% add up, kind of thing. I never understood that, but to obviously get the the next level, people ahead of you, boom, you go ahead. then you go boom, and then like everyone
Yeah.
has his own mentor, everyone has their own mentor, that kind of thing. So
So
yeah,
say there's someone listening who aspires to be like a PT, a personal trainer. How does a PT actually go about picking a coach? Like obviously they're a PT. Like how do they go and pick a coach that they feel knows more than them to learn?
this is the thing we were saying about social proof. So if they have social proof and results based, like they have the proof that they can do what they say they do, uh, that there would probably be one. That probably be the main one. But it is hard. It's hard to know. Like to be honest, you know, as well. Even if you say the right one, every person you go to, you're going to learn something from. So you don't know if he's the right one, but you learn something from him, and then next one, and next one, and that, and so on. So that kind of thing. But I found it really interesting, like how all them coaches had their own coaches. Wow. I think it would actually, see coming from a PT's perspective, it would hold you accountable, right? And as a coach that is accountable of someone else's, like coaching them, it would put your standards up higher because you're right now you're doing it and you're showing that your clients, I'm investing in a coach. So imagine what it'd be like if what I mean? You're putting the standards onto yourself, if that makes sense. So you're checking
Yeah.
it, you're doing the calories, you're doing this and you're doing that. So then everyone's like, oh well, he's doing it and he's actually saying he's telling me to do it, but he's also doing it too. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So like it would be like you would get a coach and you would like kind of. I'm just trying to get a bit of understanding. So you would like kind of like transform like your like not transform your body, but like build muscle, whatever like the fitness goals you want to achieve, and adhere to kind of the program that they give you. Or
Yeah,
which way does it work?
yeah, but yeah, 100%. But it's not just that. It's more like how do they communicate with me?
Mm-hmm.
What way do they talk to me on the phone if they phone me? What way do they act with the group call scenario? Wee things like that. It could be a wee small thing, like I don't know, they text me out of the blue, how's your day going? Something like that. Then I can actually look like, oh, right, maybe I can apply that into my coaching. Maybe I'm like, oh, you know what? I just seen, I don't know, Michael away on a walk there. Can I be texting him? Oh, well done getting your steps in, seeing on your story, something like that. Like, are they doing that I'm not doing? And then I got planned, and then I can go to the next coach. What are they doing that I'm not doing? But planned, or what way do they communicate? It doesn't have to be just. It doesn't even have to be coaching. It's just them we things add up. It could be coaching. It could be like, oh, he's adding, he's I don't know doing, I don't know calls on this topic, and I've never done a call on that topic. Oh, I gotta play it into my, just wee small percentages if that makes sense. And that's the same with anything. It's not just, I was talking about PT, and it could be anything. It could be like, I don't know, marketing. Right? I go to a marketing coach, even though I'm a marketing coach myself. Say, for example, and I go to a marketing coach. What's he doing that I'm not doing? Oh, I can be doing that. Or what ways he communicate? It doesn't have to be just marketing. It's the thing. We 1% you learn of them people. And yeah, I thought it was a really good take, and I never thought about it in that way. But yeah, we talk about it all the time about investing, about people who are hiring you and stuff, or to have more experience, and we always talk about that. But I never thought about it for me doing it, if that makes sense. But it makes a whole lot of sense, and yeah, I found out that stat mad about 60 or 7%, 70% of people in that course I'm doing I have their own PD. I'm like, what? No way. I said, why? And it makes so much sense now because I know why, right? Kind of thing. So yeah, that's the way I look at it. But going back in the 12-week thing, what things would you focus on? Like I know you're, for example, you're doing drop shitting. Would you focus on the drop shitting, or would it be a case of studying? Because I know you're on your final year of uni. It's what it is. I think it's a hard one to focus on. Like it's hard to focus on one thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think obviously it's meant to be one thing. I would have to like find some way to kind of split it up into like two main goals. Obviously, one would be university, as it's kind of like my last semester of university. It would also be the drop shipping as well, obviously, because I want to achieve a certain level of income. So I would have to like live two lives in a sense, to split my days up into two. I don't know, two
What's
12 hour periods, 2 12 hour periods. So it'd be like 2 12 weeks ultimately, because it's kind of just the situation that I'm in. Do you know what I mean? So it would definitely be the university and also the drop shipping as well. You know what I mean?
Does it have to be one thing, or can it be like three things? For example, fitness, revising,
Yeah.
and business 4 hours each one in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so see, I haven't fully read the book yet, so I assume like realistically, when I plan that, it can't only be one thing. Do you know what I mean? So like, you would have to split up into like two or three things. Say like I feel like there's enough hours in the day to split up into two or three. Like it's not like it's a challenge that would you have to adhere to one thing. You're only allowed to do this. You're in monk mode for this, just one thing. But I feel like yeah, I think there definitely is no reason that you couldn't split up into two or three objectives for the 12 week period.
What I loved the most about it was the percentage thing of each week. So they reflect on a Sunday or the Monday. I go through the percentages. So like right on my calendar or on my to do list, I done this amount of hours for a whole week on that thing, and how much they said they were going to do of it, and then they do the miles and work out the percentage of it. I found that sick, and they said 85% or higher is you on track and thing. I found that sick because then it gives you a visual representation of where you're at and how can you up them percentages and that kind of thing. And that way, as I was saying about seeing progress and stuff, I feel like that was a really good take on it. I found like anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's something I would like definitely love to apply. Just go ham, absolutely ham for 12 weeks and see how well it kind of fits my life.
one
You
Hundred percent.
know.
I definitely want to read that book actually, but I'm reading Jordan Peterson's book at the minute, 12 Years of Life. I'm only on page 119. I only do 10 minutes a day, so it's only like a couple of pages, like 3 pages a day, like which isn't much if you actually look at the whole thing of things. But what I'm struggling with at the minute, so I've currently started doing work blocks and 2 hour ones, 2 hours, then go walk, and then 2 hours. What I find is I do the 2 hours, and then I do 15 minutes walking, or I go half an hour and get lunch and blah blah blah. I find it's hard to get back into the work after you stop the work block, and then go again, and then you end up only working like 4 6 hours. And mate, I want to be working longer, so I feel like maybe a long work block, like a 4 or 5 hour, then rest a wee bit, then 2 hours, then rest in the 2 hours. I feel like that might work well, so I'm gonna try this week. Um, but yeah, that's what I'm struggling with at the minute.
Yeah, I think Jack, we kind of decided this podcast we're going to kind of keep it around 45 minutes today. So I think it would be time to move into obviously a part that we do every week on the podcast. We'll start with um the biggest win and the biggest challenge of the week.
We're on that time already. I was. It's been a while since we've done this. Here, I tell you what. Do you know? I was looking back at our first podcast. I only watched like a minute or two now, and I'm like, Jesus, that is bad. Like, not bad, but like not great kind of thing. But now I would say that with growing confidence, when like I talk more in camera or all the rest of it, but I still don't think we have clear structure yet in the sense that like
Yeah,
this is what we're talking about today, this is what we're blah blah. But I think I will come with time, and especially with you being back in 3 months' time, will be sick. But when it comes to conversations and like communicating, I feel like it's got a way better in the sense of like right, I'm talking, you're talking, I'm talking, boom boom, that kind of. What do you? How do you think?
yeah, yeah. Definitely feel like improved. I feel like it's definitely a skill I need to improve more. I feel like obviously when I'm trying to get points across, I do kind of tend to waffle. I think how would I describe it? Exactly what I'm doing right now, to be honest. Trying to work out the words to put it into words, but like yeah, I kind of do tend to waffle. Kind of be more straight, not straight to the point, so to speak, but like be more direct with what I'm trying to say and like the point that I'm trying to get across, opposed to like um kind of beating around the bush, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's where preparation probably comes into play. Like
Yeah,
Alex Moser was talking about it. He went and done a live event on stage. And everyone was saying to him, "How do you know exactly what you're saying? How do you know, like, how you so good automatically on stage just talking to everyone and all the rest of it?" And that's what I was saying about you don't know if that the thing, the reps you're putting in is going to make, you don't know in the future if that's going to be like, worth putting in the reps or like all the rest of it. But anyway, he would do like a video of him talking about it. Then he would do 2 hours in that. Then he would rewatch the video and reflect on it. Then he would do another 2 hours of talking the script again and so on. And that's probably essentially this podcast, obviously, because we don't really plan enough. Maybe that is why. But then also, again, we're what 17 episodes, 17 hours, which will get 10,000 hours, as you said, like.
Or was it all in 12 weeks left?
I really want to read that book now because you've hyped it up, and plus that video last night actually hyped it up for me. I thought it was a really good video. Yeah. But actually, to be honest, like, it just came up with notifications. I was like, fuck, what's that there? I watched it. I was like, fuck, that's actually sick. But anyway, we'll move on. Well, do you want to win the biggest struggle and biggest win?
Yeah, go for it. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
I go first for it. My biggest struggle of the week would be the time blocks. 2 hours rest, 2 hours go. I feel like that. I thought it was a good idea, and it is a good idea, but I feel like I want to have a longer time block. We don't know why it's start of the day, middle of the day, or end of the day, but we'll have one period where it's just a longer block of 2 hours, than 2 hours, sorry. And that way, and that kind of stuff. But my biggest win would be probably 365 days of posting. Not in a row, but 365 days of posting. That's pretty good achievement. That's 1 year posting, like not consistently. Like I'm on 100, like I don't know, 140 days posting consistently, maybe 130. But 365 days class. Also, I want my TikTok to do quite well there. But yeah, it was probably my biggest wins of the week.
Yeah, I seen the TikTok done well. It was absolutely sick, to be fair, lad.
Yeah, I don't good like views wise, but it's not that great of a video, to be honest. But it's good because like everyone can relate to it, and I can relate to it. I feel like it's more genuine because it actually is like fuck. Do you remember them days? Like they actually were lethal, like, so maybe that's why people can relate to it because they had them days too,
Yeah. I have a question I want to ask you off camera about it, so remind me about it, just about it. So I'll go into my biggest challenge of it. My biggest, I'll start off.
Actually, see before we go, so me and Danny were talking about reflecting and all quite a lot within this podcast. That was the first time I've ever reflected on my videos, and I've noticed my engagements got better, my views got better, blah blah. And that video that I made was a representation of the video that went well, and that was literally me reflecting on the videos that went well and seeing how I could apply that into my next videos. So that's actually a sense of actually, not us just talking about it. That's me actually showing I'm not just talking, I'm actually doing it as well. And that's the first time I've done it. So hopefully you can take that away and maybe, take some value from that, because I'm actually not just saying, there's proof of me actually applying what I've been talking about, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was pretty certain.
Yeah. My biggest win and my biggest challenge of the week. Shall I start off with my biggest challenge and finish on maybe a bit of a positive, so to speak? My biggest challenge of this week literally relates to what we have been saying from at the start of this podcast about. Mate, turn your phone on silent. Yeah, but my biggest challenge literally relates to what we were talking about at the start of this podcast. So basically, my biggest challenge was I've absolutely tore the shite out of my MCL in my knee and can barely walk or barely stand. But it's completely my fault because it's something that has happened on the other knee before, and I did the right stuff in terms of the right exercise and the right rehab to build it, but stopped it. And now it's happened on the other knee when training jiu-jitsu. So I think that the dilution, the diluting the what am I looking for? The concentration on actually focusing on the fact that like this may happen, this may happen, kind of went away from it. So I've paid the ultimate price, got a reality check, and I've absolutely fried my knee. But we'll finish on a slight bit of a positive. Is before I absolutely destroyed my knee, the biggest win of the week was I've been very, very productive this week with the gym, running, and doing uni work. So that's a win.
What happened? How did it happen? Your leg?
So basically, I had someone in my guard. They kind of tried to sweep me with like kind of like a modified toe hold, and basically my knee popped, and I feel like I've torn my MCL. It's kind of it. You know what I mean? Shit happens. But here, we'll move on. Jack, let's finish strong, right? Quote of the day, sir. Give me it.
So before we start, that's me just uploading the beautiful podcast onto my fitness page. That's what I was doing there. So I'll start. So it's something I've already said, and I thought it was a good quote. But it was this. So my quote of the day is, the quality of your life is determined by the questions you ask yourself. I'll not elaborate because we'll do another video of the quotes. But yeah, I should have done. I could have done more deep. I should have got the camera and but I will move.
I'll go straight into mine if we're not elaborating. So I'll just give a bit of context though. It's not an elaboration. Basically, it's basically about kind of basically I've faced a massive obstacle this week with absolutely turning the shite out of my knee. So basically my quote is, obstacles are those frightful things that you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Henry Ford.
Henry Ford. The obstacles. Say it again.
Obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I do like it. There's something I was gonna say there. I can't remember what I was gonna say. We've all been there, haven't we? Like we're going to say something and you forget you're gonna say.
Yeah.
We've all been there, but see with that there, my quote, I'll not elaborate much on it, but the reason why quality of life is dictated on like the questions you ask yourself is because what are the things like you're not asking yourself, like why is my business not doing well, or why do I feel like this? What things can change? If we ask yourself that on a regular basis, imagine what your life would be look like, because we could then take the actions and do the outputs. Does that make sense? So when we say, "Oh, I feel like shit," or "My life's shit," and "How's your life so good?" and so we're comparing to other people and all the rest of it, but then we're not thinking, "How can we make it better?" What's the input kind of thing. So I think that's I think that's a good quote. But yeah, I got us ready to rock. If you got anything to leave us off with, Danny?
No, I think that's everything, brother.
Everything ready to rock and roll.
But yeah, everyone, thank you all so much for listening. And here, comment below your biggest win and your biggest challenge of the week, and we will comment back to you. And it'll be sick for interaction as well with the people listening to the podcast and the fans. Not the fans, sorry. That's no, you know what I mean. The people interacting with the podcast.
The fucking drawers.
The lads.
The lads and
ladies.
Ladies.
But yeah, everyone, thank you all so much for listening. This has been Today is the Day podcast with me, Danny Malloy and Jack Gray. And here, get back to it, because today is the day. Over and out.